Wanted to do one more follow-up on my last video about spiritual crisis and kind of hone in a few more specifics because I did get a handful of emails and a lot of comments. So it seems like people relate, they know what I'm talking about. The dark night of the soul, spiritual crisis, the void, the existential crisis, the lack of meaning, all that stuff. It seems like there's definitely a handful of people who understand, who are going through it. And I was kind of vague in my last video, but in this one I just want to give a couple specifics because I really did a few things wrong in this mode. And I got a lot of questions about, where are you at now? Are you still suffering? All this stuff. So when it comes to a spiritual crisis, like I said, definitely watch less videos, read less books, simplify, but I want to explain why that is. So when you are in this void, stuck in meaninglessness, sometimes all these repressed emotions are coming up. For me, it was anger. I was exploding on people and blowing up in situations that were not appropriate. I almost got in a fight with my manager at one point. I was inches away from getting fired. I mean, it was bad. And I've heard other stories of people that it's even hard to believe because you see them later and they're so calm and so peaceful, like the state that I'm in now, that when they tell their story, it's almost unbelievable that they were ever that emotionally volatile. But that's what this section, this process, this dark night of the soul, that's what it is. So it's all of your stuff coming up. Now, when your stuff comes up, it's emotional and it's in your body. So the problem is what we do as thought identified, ego-driven people is most of our lives, we don't even realize we're doing this, but we're ignoring our emotions, we're repressing our emotions, we're not admitting to ourselves what we're feeling. Sometimes we don't even know what we're feeling because we've never stopped to actually think or observe it or feel it or accept it, or just we were never taught that it was okay to even feel. So we repress our emotions and then we just go right into our head and we start thinking and we just, think our way through the world while ignoring what we're actually feeling. The dark night of the soul doesn't allow you to do that anymore. It is pushing you into an ego death, into disidentification with thought, it's pushing you into heaven. It's beautiful. It feels like you're going through hell, and in a way you are, but that's how you get there. So there's okay, so to simplify, a huge part of the problem, or what makes the dark night of the soul worse, or the spiritual crisis worse, is feeding your mind with more information. So this is what I did. I tried to figure out, how do I get out of this? How do I get through this? Who's figured this out so I can read about it? I'll watch every video I possibly can. And my entire reason for putting more information into my mind was to get out of and away from what I was feeling, when actually the complete opposite is what helps you get through this, not around it, not bypass it, not end it. It's what gets you through it. Now, when you go through the pain, the other side is absolutely stunning and beautiful. If you try to go around it or bypass it, it just makes it last longer and you're stuck in hell for longer. So that's why I say simplify. Don't read books, don't watch videos. Your brain does not need more information. Your mind is already overloaded. It's just, mine got fried to where I would try to read a page of a book and I couldn't even figure out or retain what I just read. So instead of trying to escape the feeling, which is completely normal, try to do the opposite. Feel. Get in your body. Now, if the emotions are too intense to feel, which for me, they were, I couldn't just sit and meditate. So I had to do a few things. Now, the few things that helped me were physical actions, and I didn't even realize this at the time. I was just kind of doing this blind. I can look back now and see why and what helped. So, for example, I've been an artist my whole life, and I hadn't used that skill for a year or two. It comes and goes. It's here and there. During my dark night of the soul, I started sketching again. So I would draw. I would come home from work and I would draw. And I realized that just sitting there drawing, using my body to focus on one action was way more beneficial to my mind than meditation. I couldn't meditate during this dark night of the soul. My mind was too crazy. But I could sit and draw. And it just focused my mind got quiet and my body was just focused on doing something. The other thing that helped was walking in nature, because unlike meditation, when you're shutting off all your senses, your mind is kind of allowed to go crazy, and that's the point of meditation, is to observe your mind. But during this spiritual crisis, that's kind of the last thing that you want to do. It doesn't seem to help. You just observe that you're crazy and you feel like you're going nuts. So walking in nature allowed my body to do a simple action, and my body's moving down the trail and my eyes are kind of observing trees and other things, and it quieted my mind in a way that meditation doesn't. So those are the two things I did. That's all I did for a while, and I just let that be okay. And so if you have a skill or an action or a way to get into your body, to feel your body, to ground in nature, to do a simple action, riding a bike, drawing, whatever it is that you do, swimming, something that is just a simple, repetitive bodily action, not something that takes your mind. So that's why videos don't help, because you're inputting knowledge. Books don't help because it's mind stuff. You need to, or I needed to at least, just pause that for a while. Because what's happening is you are disidentifying with mind, and you're going to move into body, and body is where awakening happens, not mind. So it's when the mind gets dropped, it's when the mind reaches the end, it's when you finally get to the point where everything you've tried to do and escape and run and achieve with your ego, with your mind, has failed. And you feel it and you know it, but you don't know what to do about it. And that's what this crisis is. It's this ripping apart. It's who you are, disidentifying from your mind, and then starting to live in a new place. But the new place is not conceptual, and it's not knowledge based. It's nothing. It's hard to explain. But the process feels like you are being ripped in half. And for some, this is greater than others. Now, I have mentioned, I have got a few comments from people that didn't have this process. They grew up in a relatively emotionally stable home, and they had a meditation practice, or they were religious, and they just eased their way into disidentifying with thoughts. And that can happen. But for others who had trauma or past history or a high control religion that they had to come out of, or just a number of things, sometimes the disidentification with thought is more like an explosion. And that's what these videos are for. That's who they're for. That's who I'm talking to in these spiritual crisis videos. So get out of your mind, get in your body. Don't try to end the suffering. Just watch the process as best as you can. And don't try to be understood. Nobody's going to understand this. Just, you have to let go of trying to be understood by people. And another thing is, When it comes to work, so I almost got fired, and I know this is common because I've gotten some emails about it. A lot of times you can't hide it anymore. It starts to just permeate everything. You're emotional, you're sad, you're just not very functional. People start to notice, they start to ask. The best thing to do is to not ignore that, but also not be completely honest, because nobody's going to understand what you're going through for the most part. So what I did, I was going through a divorce, and all my coworkers and my boss thought that that's what the problem was. It was a side effect of the actual problem, but I just let everybody think that was the problem because that's easier. And I was just open about it. I was like, "Yep, that's what it is. I'm sorry. I'm going through some stuff. Give me some time. Give me patience. I apologize. I'll try to lay low and stop freaking out on people." And I was able to maintain a very dismal existence for a while and keep my job. But if people are starting to ask at your workplace, or people are worried about you, I'm not saying be dishonest, but I am saying it's better to say something than nothing. So, just tell them there's really a lot of personal stuff going on right now. You can't explain it. It's really deep, and you're doing your best. Ask for their patience, apologize for any outbursts, and just try to ride it out as best as you can. But that's the main point of this one is do some physical activity, even if it's small. Try to do it every day, every other day. And like I said in the last video, it's a really, really good process. And I know it doesn't feel that way. But it is truth burning out untruth. It is reality burning out the illusion. It is a shift into everything you've ever wanted: joy, peace, love, acceptance, the end of suffering. It is absolutely beautiful. And I'm here to just say that because I know in the middle of it, it doesn't feel possible. Feels like the opposite. Now, mine was, 4, 5, 6 months ago. I don't know. It was a long time. It was a while ago. And I have some videos about it, and I'm going to put these in a playlist called Spiritual Crisis, just for people going through it. But yeah, it's a good process. It feels like hell. It is, really, and you just have to go through it. Don't try to bypass. Don't try to go around. Don't try to lie to yourself. The stuff coming up just needs to be felt, and resistance to it is going to make it take longer and be harder. And I've also been asked kind of how mine ended, and mine came to a close by an emotional release. So it kind of like talk therapy never worked for me because I wasn't emotional. I wasn't letting myself feel, but it does work for you if you can talk your way into the feeling of a memory and feel it and let it pass through. So nothing gets healed or fixed on level of mind. It's just your body being able to accept and feel and release energy. So that's how talk therapy ends up working. You can construct better thoughts and change thoughts and whatever, but when you finally get beneath the thought that's covering up that emotion and feel it, it just passes through, and it's not even a healing. It's just an allowing and an accepting. So that's what finally happened to me. I was struggling. I was fighting it. I would not let myself feel it because I actually felt like if I feel this, I will die. That's how it felt. I was like, there's no way. If I let the dam break, if I start crying, I won't stop. It'll be like 5 years of tears, telling myself all this stuff, but they're just thoughts. It's not true. So I ended up just taking a day on purpose, locked myself in my room and just waited, and just knew that it was going to come up, all the feelings, all this stuff. And I mean, I had some dark stuff come up, like sexual stuff from my past, and like abuse, and really intense stuff that most people would be embarrassed to talk about. but I'm not now because I felt it and it's fine. It's not even a big deal. But that added so much fear that it felt impossible, but it's not impossible. What happens is you feel it. What happened to me is I just let it come up, and it was ugly. It was a lot of emotion, but it was probably less than an hour. And it seemed like every part of my childhood trauma and all the stuff I haven't felt just burned out in that short of amount of time. I mean, it wasn't very long. It was intense and deep and real, but it was not long. And then over the course of the next few months, there was little moments here and there where more kind of got cleaned out and stuff came up, and I felt it with its intensity, but it was minutes. It was short, which are how emotions are supposed to operate. You feel the intensity of it, but when it's accepted and your mind doesn't come in and hijack your emotion, it just moves through you. So the end of my dark night was a really intense cry session. And then after that, now my emotions are able to just move freely because I'm not blocking them with my mind and my thoughts. So I hope this one helped and gave a little bit of practicality and some hope, mostly just for hope, for people that are in this, to know that you're not alone. Other people have done this. And everybody that I've seen move through this is a really compassionate, deep, loving person afterwards. So it's not a process to end you or to kill you or to cause suffering. It is a divine process to bring you into peace and joy and awakening. So I'm here for you. I'm sorry it's rough. If anybody has any questions about it, feel free to ask. I'll make more videos. Yeah, thanks for watching.